When I made my video about the Traveler's ancient enemy, I ended up mentioning points from videos that I hadn't made yet, especially some videos I hadn't planned on making until after the final shape came out. But one thing that video made me realize is that there is a severe continuity problem, and unfortunately, I don't see a fix for it. I do want to be clear, I'm not making this video to be negative for the sake of it. I do genuinely see this as a problem, and I think the more people who know about this, the better. But with all that being said, let me tell you about how Savathûn broke Destiny's lore. To set the stage, I'm going to quote lore from the Books of Sorrow. This is while Oryx is struggling to contain the Vex. I will follow the deep wherever it goes and document its power. Let us create a catalog of the Grave of Worlds, which will be our map to victory. Not too long after, we have this quote, and this is right after the Hive successfully destroyed the Harmony and claimed the Gift Mast. Then saith Savathûn, "Siblings, listen, we must part ways a while so that we may grow different." She flies her war moons into the black hole. Her throne becomes distant. Saith Xivu-Arath, "King Oryx, you take up too much space. Your power constrains too many choices. I must go away from you." She flies her war moons away into the night. Her throne is barred shut. Then Oryx was alone. The context here is pretty simple. Oryx, being the legend that he was simply too powerful, to the point where his siblings were unable to grow as much as they needed to. It's never outright said, but I think it's obvious. Oryx, taking up too much space, affected their ability to feed their worms. At the same time though, Oryx had one goal: to live forever, and to become strong enough he needed to understand the deep and the sword logic, and so he decided to follow the deep and document its actions. Here's the beauty of it. I have two different interpretations of what the deep is. One is that the deep is the winnower, the master of the darkness, just like how the gardener is the master of the light. The other is that the location that is the deep is actually inside the veil, just like how the pale heart location is inside the traveler. Watch the Veil Theory Part 1, I break it down really well. The thing with these two interpretations is that they all lead to the same result. If the deep is the winnower, then Oryx would inevitably be led to the collapse. If the deep is connected to the veil, then Oryx would inevitably be led to the collapse. What's more is that, thanks to Crota being on the moon, we know that Oryx was more than likely there. Long story short, due to the Books of Sorrow, Crota being on the moon, and our own deductive intelligence, we can pretty confidently say that Oryx was at the collapse. So why was Savathûn there? As I made it pretty clear, Savi and Xivu-Arath, they separated themselves from Oryx, and for good reason. Why would she, and potentially Xivu as well, show up at the collapse? It's not like they were needed there. Do you think the pyramids needed help? I don't think so. And as I already established, Oryx wasn't there to help, he was there for his own motivation. That's the first hole in the lore. Savathûn should not have been at the collapse, full stop. This actively goes against the Books of Sorrow. It's not the first time, but hey, I guess the Books of Sorrow is just considered old lore at this point, right? So apart from Savathûn kind of breaking that part of the Books of Sorrow by being at the collapse, what else is there? Let me put it like this. Savathûn earned the Witness's trust, joined it for the collapse, watched the Witness wipe out Earth, and in the end, when it turned its quote-unquote violent gaze to the Traveler, she projected lies and deceived the Witness, making it go away. That is the explanation from Witch Queen, from the Parasite Exotic Quest. Okay, well, what else is there? Okay, sure. Nezarec led the Black Fleet against the Traveler, and after the Traveler repelled his attack, his ship crashed onto the moon, with him being presumed dead. I'm referring to my Ancient Enemy video, where the Traveler nuked Nezarec and the Pyramid Race, right? No, I'm actually not. What I'm actually referencing is Season of Plunder lore, and that was a near one-to-one quote. In case you're curious, I'll say it again. Nezarec led the Black Fleet against the Traveler, and after the Traveler repelled his attack, his ship crashed onto the moon, with him being presumed dead. Okay. But wait, there is more. With the introduction of the Veil, we now know that the Witness didn't care about humanity at all. It purely wanted the Traveler. And we know this because in Lightfall, the Black Fleet and Witness basically ignored everyone and only focused on the Traveler. And that was without the Veil. So the Witness began the collapse with the sole intention of linking the Veil to the Traveler. And what does Savathûn do? She kills Nezarec, takes the Veil, and puts it on Neptune, meaning that the pyramids literally have no reason to be there at all. So they leave. The end. And by the way, how did the Witness find where the Veil was? It touched the Traveler. So if the Veil was stolen during the collapse, why didn't it just go and touch the battered, half-dead Traveler? It wasn't dead, as it literally made the ghosts and was sustaining them. There really is no excuse at all. But anyways, I just gave you 3 different versions of the collapse. And this is from the game, by the way. This isn't even all, this isn't even all of them, and this isn't my own theories. These are from 3 different points of the game, beginning with Witch Queen. It's such a mess. And it genuinely makes me mad finding all of this recent lore that contradicts and constantly changes the narrative. I will say this, and if I'm harsh, I'm sorry, Bungie wanted Savathûn to be an anti-hero and wanted us to be sympathetic towards her, and so made her the star of the show that was the collapse, without any consideration for not just pre-existing lore, but some concepts that are vital to Destiny's world. And listen, I'm not going to waste your time. I could go into a lot of detail about all of the different versions of the collapse, how different characters got screwed over, and point out all the plot holes, but again, your time is precious and I don't want to waste it. So I believe that you're smart enough to see through all of this. Writers came and went. Decisions were made without consideration for continuity. The world and story of the game was not treated with respect. And again, I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but I'm not attacking the writers or whoever was responsible for making these narrative decisions. But if something in the game happened because of a real-life reason, I'll just say it. And this is a major writing issue, either directly because of the writers or because of whoever gave them instructions. Now you might be wondering, okay, so you've given me these different versions of the collapse. What's so bad about this? And I'm going to explain exactly that now. With all of that said, I want to spend the next bit of this video pointing out the 2 worst offenses that this Savathûn storyline creates. First of all, there was no Traveler sacrifice. Since day 1 of Destiny, we have had the one message. The collapse came, humanity was targeted and almost wiped out, and the Traveler sacrificed itself for us. And even as recent as that season of Plunder lore, talking about how the Traveler repelled the pyramids, that's connected to the first cutscene of Destiny 2, where it states the Traveler had an ancient enemy that was pyramid ship related, and that its sacrifice destroyed its ancient enemy and brought life to the ghosts. That's a direct quote. The Traveler was attacked by the pyramids, and its sacrifice beat them back while also creating the ghosts. That is a fact. Regardless of what the sacrifice was or what it meant, if the Traveler did not sacrifice itself and subsequently make the ghosts, Earth would have been wiped clean of humans. Witch Queen, when it first came out, it played around this line by having Savathûn save the day, but with the parasite, the worm, being clear her actions were not the reason for our survival, just one of them. But her actions in that lore were then different in Lightfall. So, in this original Witch Queen explanation of what Savathûn did in the collapse, there's no mention of Nezarec, there's no mention of the Veil or anything, and even the Witness's motivations were different. In Witch Queen, its focus was primarily on humanity, and then in the end did it focus on the Traveler, prompting her to act. But in Lightfall, they just went all in. The only reason the pyramids left our system was because the Witness only had one goal: to link the Traveler to the Veil. Even though in that same expansion, we got this line.
You will link the radio mast and see the veil destroyed.
They had no idea. They had no idea, man. But yes, the one goal was to make that link, so that the final shape could be achieved. So when Savathûn stole the veil, they literally couldn't get what they want, and so they left. Therefore, what point was there in a traveler's sacrifice? What precedent is there? What would it have achieved? It tried to nuke the witness in Lightfall, and it failed. So why sacrifice itself? So either it did sacrifice itself, and it was for absolutely nothing, or it didn't at all. Retconning countless bits of lore from Destiny 1 to now. Ideal. And then this is the second offense. What was the point in making the Guardians? I want you to think about this. In Destiny, we were told that the ghosts were made with the Traveler's dying breath. And in Destiny 2, we were told that the ghosts were made as a result of the Traveler's sacrifice, and that has now been brought into question. Apart from the sacrifice, what other reason was there for making the ghosts? First of all, we do have the wager. It was the gardener that chose you from the dead. I wouldn't have done that, it's just not in me. But now that they have invested themselves in you, you are incredibly, uniquely special. That wandering refugee chose to make a stand, spend their power to say, here I prove myself right. Here I wager that given power over physics and the trust of absolute freedom, people will choose to build and protect a gentle kingdom ringed in spears, and not fall to temptation, and not surrender to division, and never yield to the cynicism that says, everyone else is so good that I can afford to be a little evil. The gardener is all in. They are playing for keeps, and they are wrong, or so I argue, for, after all, the universe is undecidable. There is no destiny. We're all making this up as we go along. Neither the gardener nor I know for certain that we are eternally universally right, but we can be nothing except what we are. You have a choice. You are the gardener's final argument. It would mean everything if I could convince you that I am the right and only way. I truly value you. To the gardener, you are a means to an end. To me, you are majestic. Majestic. You are full of the only thing worth anything at all. I am, by the only standard that matters or will ever matter, the winning team. Existence is a test that most will fail. Would you not count yourself among the victorious few? Don't hurry to deliver your answer. I'll come over and hear it myself. That is from Unveiling, from Shadowkeep, and the character's way of speaking and motivations match none other than the Winnower. But now, these days, even the concept of the Winnower is considered out there. I'll say this, you retcon the Winnower, you retcon the wager. You retcon the wager, and the only reason the ghosts were made was because of the Traveler's sacrifice. If there was no sacrifice, then the Traveler simply made the ghosts with its dying breath. But wait a minute, why would it be dying if we now know the pyramids never wanted to destroy it? So I will end this with my opinion on everything I just said. Savathûn's heroics during the collapse may have made her character more sympathetic or interesting or tragic, but in my opinion, it surely ruined everything else about the collapse. This was a depressing video, I admit it, but like I said, it wasn't for the sake of being negative. I just know that you, the person watching these kinds of videos, you care about the lore and the world of Destiny, and so you deserve to know about all of this. But now that you know, what do you think? Do you think there's a way to fix any of this? Do you care? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, finding it entertaining or informative, if I hit that wombo combo, please consider liking the video or subscribing. And if you want access to exclusive content and perks, consider being a member and joining the channel. And yeah, once again, thank you so much Detective Studios for being a member. You're a hero. But yeah, with all that being said, I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.